to IGN Live at Gamescom 2018. We are talking about Soulcalibur 6. Thanks so much for joining us, Pierre.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to talk about this game. So let's just start with a huge congratulations. It's been 20 years since the first Soul arcade cabinet was released into the world.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. It's been a huge ride, I guess, for the Namco team and the Bandai Namco team all together. So Soulcalibur 6 is the pinnacle of that. And it's also a throwback for everybody who loved the first games, especially Soulcalibur 1 and 2. The whole thing is now back into Soulcalibur 6, and we're super excited about that.
Yeah, okay, so we'll get back to that, but they started rolling this trailer, and we have to talk about this. So you guys announced
Yes, that's the
DLC.
big announcement. No, that's the Libra of Soul mode.
This
that's
is
the
Libra of Soul.
second story mode.
Yes, the second story mode.
Back at E3 in June, we've announced the Chronicle of Soul, which is the standard story mode, if I can say, where you play as all the characters from the cast, and all of them have their own set of story. They all have their storyline, and you can see the events from their point of view. Well, in the Libra of Soul mode, you create your own character. It's like adding a dash of RPG into the Soulcalibur history. So you create your character, and then you roam the world freely, and that's your own adventure. So if the Chronicle is like the official book of Soulcalibur, if you want, the Libra of Soul is definitely the choose your own adventure kind of book. That's how we like to compare them.
So you corrected me when I called it DLC. Will this be free to people who play the game?
Oh, absolutely.
Or who
That's
already
part of
own
the game. That's part of the main experience of the game, and it's in the game.
Perfect. So it's coming out at the same time as the first story mode.
Yes, both story mode are in the game, available October 19th.
Perfect. Well, that's so exciting. Congratulations on launching or telling the world about it. So let's talk about the creative character.
Yeah, the character creation mode is back. It's been part of the Soulcalibur franchise since a few episodes, so we're really glad to bring it back because that's something the community really love. And it's weaved into the story mode as well, as I said. So it's pretty dynamic. You've got to choose between among 16 races. Most of them can swap the gender as well. And then you've got quite a lot of sliders, quite a lot of things you can adjust. So as you can see, your ultimate goal has always been to play a green hair elf in Soulcalibur. That's something you can do. And if you got some more eccentric taste, you can do something completely crazy, like an evil panda, anything like that.
Wow. It's so how do you choose your weapon in this? Is it auto-assigned to you and you're just choosing your character?
So when you create your character, you choose your fighting style first, which is based on an archetype from any of the characters in Soulcalibur.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but look at how cute. Hello.
And what we can see in here is the coloring process and the texture. So you can assign any kind of texture to any part of your armor set. So it really looks really fine-tuned. It's not one colored. So as I said, you can choose your fighting style based on the character. So if you choose Siegfried as a main character, then you'll have a double hand sword. That's the kind of choice you have, and then you'll pick a weapon. There's many weapons, and you can win some more during the campaign. And you can customize your weapon as well. So it's entirely possible to add some decals, texture, and modify them accordingly.
What's behind the decision of including 2 story modes? Because for most games, people think, one's enough until they decide to release more, but you're launching with 2.
We are launching with 2. That comes down to the fact that Soulcalibur 6, as you said, is the 20th anniversary. So it's really trying to embrace everything Soulcalibur stands for.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of players really keen on doing the exact lore of the game. They want to know everything about what Mitsurugi used to do in 1683. They want to know what that character was up to. And it's fine, it's great. And this game is actually taking back all the events from Soulcalibur 1, Soulcalibur 2. And so if you've never played the Soulcalibur before, you can jump right into it and get the whole story. But we also have a lot of people asking us for bringing back the character mode and bring back this RPG kind of game mode. So we've been listening, and it's back into Soulcalibur 6.
Both.
Yeah, you can do both. There's something for everybody.
The choice is yours.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned at the top of our talk that Soulcalibur 6 is very similar to Soulcalibur 2, as far as in what ways?
It's a throwback in terms of cast, first and foremost. Most of the characters in the roster, we haven't announced the full roster yet, but most of the characters are coming from Soulcalibur 1 and 2. So the storyline is also taking back all the events from Soulcalibur 1 and 2. So if you've been a hardcore fans, well, you'll be in familiar territory with a few new ideas and some new concepts. That's pretty cool. And then in terms of gameplay, we are back to the familiar 8-way run, so you can run freely around the enemy, which is pretty unique in the fighting game genre. And we've also added a few moves, and we've revamped some of the moves. One of the new one is the reversal edge. It's a special move that's designed to help you get back into a fight if you're fighting some stronger opponent. So you know how it's not fun when you're playing against somebody who's way stronger than you are, and then they just combo you, and there's nothing you can do. Basically, you're just all the time death, and they all do the perfect matches. So with that special move, you've got this slow-mo mode, and you get to choose one action. So you can dodge, you can parry, you can block, or you can attack. And if you attack, this priority system from Soulcalibur is back, which means the vertical attack is going to be stronger than the horizontal attack, which will be stronger than the kick, which will be stronger than the vertical attack.
So there's a whole hierarchy.
Yeah, it's the rock, paper, scissors kind of gameplay, which means you introduce a little bit of luck into a very precise gameplay and very accurate gameplay. Which is really fun for newcomers to have a shot.
So you did mention, the creative character is back, and there is another mechanic coming back. I mean, with as well as other mechanics. But as far as Soul Charge goes, it is back.
Soul Charge is back.
Can you explain to us the difference between the Soul Charge we know from 3 and what we're going to see in 6?
Well, the way it works in 6 is when you do this reversal edge I talked about, it helps build the meta at the top of the screen. You've got various ways of doing that. Parrying is one, attacking is one. And when you are level 1 in this meta or level 2, you can start the Soul Charge. So by going backward pressing R2, you'll get into a special mode, which gives you access to a brand new move set. And the interesting way is that this mode is changing from character to character. So, for instance, Gru, the new character we introduced, he's got this long double-edged sword, a little bit like Darth Maul in Star Wars. Well, when you're in the Soul Charge mode, he just unleashed those and got 2 different blades. Kirik, for instance, turns into his evil self, which means during the duration of the Soul Charge, his life will deplete automatically. So you'll have to be very fast, or you might just kill yourself up.
That's definitely something that I'm sure people do not want to do.
No, and we've got a few surprises for everybody who tries different characters. They all have their specific rule sets.
So what else is new in this game? We've talked a lot about how it kind of is reflecting and adapting things from the past, but I'm sure there's new mechanics.
There's a whole bunch of new mechanics. As you can see, Mitsurugi here has his armor set is completely destroyed. So that's something we've added. The lethal hits are some brand new moves that you'll have to learn. So that's more designed towards the experienced audience. So you'll have to learn the moveset for all the characters. It's a special manipulation. And when you do it, you will break parts of your opponent's armor, which is quite a cool trick. And I'm sure in tournament people will dash to get them and make sure that they can properly humiliate their opponent.
Well, and it's just very immersive.
It is.
I mean, because it's unrealistic that you just wouldn't get ripped apart a little bit.
You know, we've got this very over-the-top kind of arcade action. It's really cool to see it back. I mean, fighting games have been trying to go for realistic approach or for comic book approach, and I'm glad to see that the arcade games from the 90s are back in a way with Soulcalibur. I mean, the game is powered by Unreal Engine 4. It's way beautifuler than it used to be. We've got some nice lighting system, particle system, and most and foremost, it's 60 FPS rock solid on every platform.
That's amazing. I'm sure players are very excited to hear about that.
I'm sure they are.
So, Soulcalibur really owns with Tekken the 3D fighting space. Why 3D versus 2D? What benefits are there?
Well, in Soulcalibur, it's very clear because of the manipulation of the character. So the 8-way run allows you to move freely around the opponent, which means if your enemy is doing a vertical hit, then just going upward or backward is going to have you move around him, and you can dodge any kind of hits. That includes the critical hits, so the big furies that we have in the game. They can be dodged just pressing the stick up. So it's really giving more dynamism to the game. You also have the ring out option, so you can always bring your enemy to the edge of the
Well, it
level.
Almost happened in what we were just watching.
That's pretty terrible when you're dominating the game and then suddenly you're corner in the game and bullied out of the ring.
Well, and it adds that extra layer of just what you have to be thinking about to really master this game.
It does.
So fight stick, there's fight pads, there's controllers, there's so many different like vehicles to play this game. How do you and your team think about that when you're designing mechanics?
Well, the first goal of Soulcalibur 6 is to be accessible. So the first rule is the game needs to be playable with a standard controller. Everybody should be able to enjoy the game without spending, another 50 or 80 euros in a controller specific for fighting games. But we know there's a hardcore community, and we thank them because they are the one really fueling the passion of the development team. And we also want the game to be playable for those. So that's why you can set up the controller the way you want. There are several types of controls, and they adapt. So if you're playing with an arcade stick and you want the 3 combination of fights, so the vertical, horizontal, and kick to be assigned to the first 3 buttons, you can do that as well. So it's really modular. So you can just do it the way you want.
And we can't end this interview without talking about that Tira is coming.
Tira is coming back. That's also one of our big Gamescom announcements. And she's going to be available as a DLC character from the release of the game. And she will be part of our season pass as well. No, I know it hasn't been the most popular decision. We had people being, pretty mad, not understanding what's happening there. So the idea is Tyra has been a huge request from the community ever since we've announced the game. And when we realized how popular Tyra was, we decided we should integrate her into the game. Unfortunately, it was late in the development process. I mean, the public usually sees a game when it's announced roughly a year before it's released, right? But the game development takes like 2 years, 3 years.
Definitely.
It's a long, long process. So they started developing Tira, her model, her abilities, her gameplay late into the development. So we can make it work to be available on release, but we can't make it work to be into the game when we submit. Because the end of the development is way before the actual release of the game, with the submission process to the first parties and so on and so forth. So that's one of the reasons. We also have a pretty strong roster in the game. So I know a lot of people would miss Terra in the base game, but we believe there's quite a lot of characters, and there's obviously the character creation tool, allowing you to recreate any kind of character you want.
Well, and maybe players who usually main Tira have the opportunity to get better on a different character, and then they know she's coming.
Absolutely. And also, cool piece of information, Tira is coming with her own adventure, so she will have her own story in the Chronicle story mode. So it's not just the character, you'll have the full experience.
Well, there you go. Thank you so much for coming by. Stick around because more Gamescom 2018 is coming up right after this.